Good afternoon, everybody. I would first of all initiate my talk by thanking Surekha ji. I think we are all motivated by the way she has been addressing us. It's fantastic. And last night during dinner time, Ramanuj took a clue that he is going to introduce me in Hindi, and he has done it today without reading my biodata or anything. Whatever he knew about me, he has done it. Thank you, Ramanuj, for that. And of course, I thank the Professor Sandeep Verma, Monica, and other SERB team. They have all been very kind to me, and I was given an opportunity to talk to you all. And of course, I would like to thank Arun and his team of students who are taking best possible care of all of us. Indeed, Dehradun has been my place of study for BSc and MSc, and as Ramanuj pointed out, I did my MSc from Dehradun, DBS College, and as one student asked that what is the reason you take research as career? My head of the department was Dr. Rayazada, and he said till date nobody from DBS College has taken research as career. And I think we were 9 students, and 2 of us took research as career. Dr. Archana Sharma, who happens to be here, yesterday she's her batchmate. And then I did my PhD from CDRI, and since then I'm there for almost last 33 years. Today I have been given the responsibility to talk to you how to write an effective manuscript for publication. See, this is a very drab thing. This is really drab thing. The most painful thing in research is to write. And Dr. Nityanand, who happens to be our former director, he is now 97 years of age, and today also he makes an effort to write a page every day. And this was the thing he told us, that he used to tell all the students, you should write 1 page every day. And believe me, when in one of the course, I take this as a class in the pre-PhD course also, how to write a manuscript and how to make a presentation. And when I ask a class of 30 students to write something about themselves, nobody could write a single page about themselves. So this is something you all should start doing it. If you have to come in academics, if you have to come in research, you should learn how to write a single page about anything, about scenic, about animal, about yourself, about your parents, anything you want, you should write. Of course, what you see here is, I think, okay, the old building, the right-hand side is the old building, and the left-hand side is the new building. This is the graphic of that. And see, research is a very kind of a greedy thing, okay? If you are working in an area, if you see somebody else jumping in, you all, hey, why he has come to this area, why he may excel more than me, and all those things. So when we write a research paper, it's like this. You have a paper, and then you have reviewers who are ready to kill you. Okay, so you have to go across this all killers to that and paper accepted. So it's really tough job. But fortunately or unfortunately now in present times, this is somewhat older data, but it's more or less true. We have almost 2,000 science, technical and medical publishing houses, 2,000, more than 2,000, and there are more than 20,000 peer-reviewed journals, and there are more than 1.5 million peer-review articles appearing every month, every year. So this is humongous data. If we see the trends in publishing, earlier till 1997 everything was print, but slowly till coming to 2022 it is mostly e-journals. Like you have e-version, If you ask for hard copy, then it will be mailed to you. Otherwise, it will be e-version. Some journals are still holding hard copies also. Then, because this is due to e-access, the roles have changed. Libraries have now shut down because there are not many people visiting libraries. You can find, if you have computer, you have the access, you have the license, you can access all journals on your table. So increase usage of article, more downloads, but yes, less depth. Like in mathematics, we used to ask, if you do your sums on paper, you will learn more. It's like that. If you write the references, you will learn more. But if you you read a reference, you download it and keep it in your computer, I bet nobody is going to go back. So this is what is happening. It is lower cost per article, more of electronic submission, and experimentation with new publishing models, author-based model, delayed open access or open access. Like there are open access journal, which when you pay, they publish. Of course, this could be predatory, but it's not every time predatory. Very known journals like Nature, Nature Chemistry, they also charge you for publishing. And then there is delayed open access, like in NIH allows any manuscript after 6 months that can become open access. And they have repository, you can access the manuscripts from that repository. You may have a personal reason to publish a paper. It could be earning a PhD degree, it could be for funding, it could be for promotion, it could be for some other reason. But editors, reviewers, and research community don't consider these conditions or reasons while assessing your work. So the only thing that counts is the content of your paper. The science expressed in your paper counts. And why publish? Publishing is one of the necessary steps embedded in scientific research process. It is essential to do graduation. If you have to submit PhD, 2 papers are required. That is UGC guideline. So you have to publish paper. And for career progression, of course, if you go for promotion and other things, like it is a kind of a qualitative thing, you can show that you have made progress in your profession. So paper is a qualitative thing that, okay, I have done something. What to publish? New and original research or method, review summaries of particular subjects on manuscript that advance the knowledge and understanding of the science. And what not to publish? Reports of no scientific interest, duplication of work, out-of-date work, or incorrect, unacceptable conclusion. You need strong, effective manuscript to present your contributions to the scientific community. And a good manuscript is something which is useful and exciting, and a good presentation is clear and logically constructed. And what you need is clarity. 3C, you should always remember the 3 C's: clarity, conciseness, correctness. And if something is missing, your paper is bound to get rejected. Of course, Google is there, it's free, but life is not Google. There is more than Google. In science, you have to, if you have to do literature search, you should opt for SciFinder, PubMed, Web of Science, Science Direct, or Scopus, because Google will not always yield all the results. You can do some advanced searches in Google, but still it will not answer all your questions or give you all the citations you require. And the scientific language is one of the most important thing of the paper. It's the primary requirement of the paper. Write clarity, objectivity, accuracy, and brevity. Key to successful scientific writing is to be alert to the common errors such as sentence construction, incorrect tenses, inaccurate grammar, not using English, and write short sentences and 1 idea per sentence, no more than that. Authorship. Prathima has already talked about authorship in ethics, but there are 4 criteria for authorship. One is the person who substantially contribute, do the experiments and or idealize the experiment. The other guy who do the conception, write the draft. The third could be giving the approval of the full final version. Means he could be part of the exercise, he could be a supervisor or something. Then agreement to be accountable for all aspects of work. Tomorrow if there is some query, he or she should be responsible for that. All 4 conditions must be fulfilled to be an author, but if you don't qualify all these 4, then you can put that person as in acknowledgement. So sequences and abuses, general principle, who is listed first is first author, who do the experiment, gets, like in India, mostly students are the first author, and the guide could be the principal author, because he is writing and he does the ownership, because student can leave the lab, but the scientist or the professor is in permanent position, and in case there is some query for the paper, he or she has to answer that. Abuses to be avoided: ghost authorship, leaving out some author who should have been included, and then there is gift authorship, including authors who did not contribute. Like if I want to say oblige somebody, my head of the department, my director, I'll put his or her name in the title. That is something gift authorship, and that should be avoided. Research writing, I'll come to research writing in detail later, but just some 4 very important factors are coherence, which include necessary information in each section, do not repeat the information, organization, follow IMRD. IMRD is nothing but introduction, methods, results and discussion. Structure, put right part in right place, and then important factors in writing are conforming to the length guidelines and keep the paper focused. Choose limited amount of data to be presented. It should not have something like if there is no connectivity between 2 experiments, don't put those 2 experiments in one paper. Then clarity, should be easy to read and understand, and use proper grammar and phrasing style. And please check the formatting style of the journal. It's very essential. I'll come to that also. So what paper has is, anatomy of the paper is, you have title, authors, abstract, keywords, then main text, introduction, methods, discussion, results and discussion, and conclusion, acknowledgement, references, and then supplementary material. Need to be accurate for all these things, and IMRD each has a distinct function. I'll come to these in details. But whatever you do, you have to be concise, you have to be aesthetic in presentation. And remember, journal space is not unlimited. Like you have to be within page limit or within word limit. Like if you have to send a paper to Angevante Keme, you have to be within limit of 15,000 words. If you have to Chem Euroje, maximum 15,000, they allow to 18,000 words. So not more than that. Then how you build an article. First and the foremost are figure and tables. The one which are below are the, figures and table are the first one, then methods, results and discussion, then comes conclusion, and last you write the introduction, title and abstract. Introduction, what does it do? Discuss the problem to be solved, describe where your research fits in current science, uses primary literature and summarizes the current understanding of the problem. Then what methods, what does it do? Tell how you did the study, tell what material and methods you have used in the study, and be very careful that whatever you describe in your materials and methods should be reproducible by some other guy. Otherwise, what will happen if your results are different from the other guy who is repeating your experiment? Your paper will be becoming questionable, and tomorrow if the third person again repeats the experiment, he finds different result, and same to the second guy, then your paper is likely to be retracted also. So be very careful with the experiments you perform and the data you report. Results, what does it do? Explain the important findings of your study and help answer to your research question. Discussion, explain what your finding means and implications to your area of research, includes limitation to your study, and discuss possible future research, means perspective of your results, what future it holds. Then question, why you want to publish your work. Write down your research question, Why you want to publish your work? Write down your research question and hypothesis. What does this study seek to find, and what are the study's main aim? So why we want to publish? Is it new or interesting? Then only you go for publication. If it is something which is already reported in the literature, you do not go for publication. Is it current topic? Is it contemporary? The research is contemporary, or some old thing being repeated, and people know much about the area. There are several papers. You just do a minor incremental addition to the literature. People don't accept that. Or you simply change a catalyst or do some minor modification to the existing experiments, then it's not accepted. Have you provided solution to some difficult problem? Are you ready to publish at this point? Question to answer before you write is, what type of manuscript you want to write? You want to write a research publication, you want to write an original article, full length original article, or it could be a communication. Whether you want to write a case report, like clinical trial reports are the case reports, whether you want to write review papers, or you want to write a perspective. Self-evaluate your work. Is it sufficient for a full article, or your results so thrilling that need to be shown as soon as possible? The quicker you want to show the result, they are communicated as letters, or they are communicated as communication, because the review time and the acceptance times is only fortnight or maybe 3 weeks. So within 3 weeks your things are online. But now you have a more prolific way to upload your manuscript on Biorix or Chemrix. These are two portals of which you can upload the manuscript, you can communicate. These are uploaded manuscript which are not peer reviewed. So they are bound to get rejected, or they are bound to get accepted. You communicate it to the journal, but you can upload it there. People can send reviews to you, or maybe upload at that site. That's also possible. And during COVID time, there were almost like everybody was doing, because sitting at home, most of the people were doing this bioinformatics or chemoinformatics, and there were so many manuscripts on regarding this information that they have to actually put a bar that don't submit any more manuscript on Biorix or Chemrix for such topic. So these are something. Or the other way is, you can discuss it with your within a group of people, or maybe within your colleagues, whether this is something new, or if you have like supervisor or somebody else, some of your friends, you can discuss with them, can I publish this or not? Then identifying the right journal. This is most essential. What your work is, to what quality of journal you can send that paper. You cannot send every paper to, say, JACS or Science or Nature. It will not be accepted. So you have to have a kind of a wisdom to select the paper in which journal your paper can get accepted. And before writing the paper, if you are, say, suppose you are sending it to maybe any say Journal of Biological Chemistry, then you have to read that journal, the type of paper appearing there, the way the presentations are made for the data and everything. So, and ask yourself whether the journal is peer reviewed. Means, of course, you want to send your journal, your paper to peer reviewed journal. What is the audience? How fast is the decision? What is the impact matrix? Of course, everybody will ask, what is the impact factor of the publication you have made? That becomes the criteria of maybe promotion, maybe selection. There are many things. So higher the impact factor, means the more acceptable your research becomes. Do you want to need to publish in open access? Of course, in Indian context, open access is becoming something, actually it is not still accepted by the funding agencies, that they pay for they give money for paying to open access. So in a nutshell, we Indians have limited kind of journal space. Because open access, if you send a publication, if like 4-paper or 6-page publication, cost you something like 4 lakh or 5 lakh rupees. So if we make four kind of a publication or 5 publications for a project, it will cost you some 20-25 lakhs, which is not acceptable because we are using taxpayers' money. So we try to avoid journals which are asking money for publication. Does it really exist, or it is dubious? Means whether it is predatory journal. If it is predatory journal, don't publish, because that will give you negative marking anywhere when you are evaluated. So there is a list of journals, you can see that. I have given this presentation to Monica, and if anybody wants, they can email me. I'll send the this presentation to them. Then the most essential part is, before you start writing, you should read what guide to authors say. What is the way you have to present your data? What are the things you have to include? Because if you are writing a communication, you don't have to write introduction, don't have to write result and discussion. It's a running paper where introduction is there, but you don't have to make a subheading of that. But if it is a full paper, say for Journal of Organic Chemistry, Journal of Biological Chemistry, maybe Biochemistry, then you have to make a kind of a heading, introduction, results and discussion. And so it is most essential to read the information, and if template is provided, try to make your manuscript on the template. How the tables and references are to be given has to be taken care of. Then from here we start how to make the manuscript. First of all, take the material and methods, prepare the figures and table, gather all data and tables, give the numbers and captions, place in the order you want to show the results, write the methods, how the study was carried out and analyzed. In this section, you should describe how the experiments were done, explain why experimental methods were used and chosen, explain methods of analysis, and explain how results were analyzed, means and organization, how you organize your material methods. Material used include site and samples, how materials were prepared, detailed description of reagents, from where you have acquired the reagents, and what are the equipments you have used, what are the configurations you want to have, you have to list, you have to describe. But this also, certain journals have different rules, like ACS journal says don't mention the name of, you mention the name of the instrument but don't mention the name of the company over there. So you have to take care. That's how you, when you read guide to authors, you learn that. Then statistical method of analysis, you have to describe preparation methods and protocols. P-values are very essential. List the methods as they appear in the result. Provide more detailed information on specialized techniques or hazardous material. Like if you are using some say azides or something, organic azides are explosive, or maybe cyanogen azide if you are using, they are explosive. So if you are using, how you have handled it, it should be mentioned in material and methods. Organized by far most the least important, means the least important things should be placed last. Use passive voice and past tense. Do not discuss results in the methods section, and use qualitative and quantitative details. Then comes results. What did you find? In this section, you should present findings of your as same order in which you have methods and materials. Present data, figures and tables as text. Report on data collection and participants. Report data relevant to the research. The results section is the core section of your paper. And I'll just show you. Okay, results, basically what it does is objectively describe the findings, and interpretation and conclusion belongs to discussion. For each set of experiment, why did you did the experiment, how you did it, presentation of representative data, use subheadings in the result section if required, cite the figure or table every time you reference it. Means you should be very careful. If there are say 4 tables, all the 4 tables should be described in the result section. Table 1, table 2, table 3, table 4 should be there. When referencing figures, use the present tense, and when discussing events of the study, use past tense. Do not discuss the meaning and implication of the results, only basic findings or any detailed experimental information, because it provides the basis for your discussion part. Now, because in results you will include all figures and tables. So what figures and tables should be? Design effective, clear and simple figures, graphs, images, tables, etc. from raw data. Okay, so whatever you prepare should be clear, and it should have proper, like if it is a graph, it should have proper x-axis, y-axis defined. If it is pie chart, it should have everything defined there. Or if it is some kind of bologram or anything, everything should be described properly. Figure should be standalone. A reader should be able to look at a figure and its legend and be able to understand what kind of experiment has been carried out. Give each figure and table simple explanatory in the form of sentence. Most of the content of the paper should be evident from reading these titles. See, this becomes more important for the biology papers. For chemistry papers, we can describe only, say, scheme 1 and give a very short legend. But for chemistry paper, I'll show you, it becomes more and more important. Two approaches of writing figure and legends: mostly state what figure represents level of P53 in human lymphocytes or gives the conclusion of the figure. P53 expression is absent in most of the human lymphocytes. So first is only describing the like graph, and the reader is supposed to understand that it is showing that P53's expression is absent, and second is describing that P53's expression is absent in most of the human lymphocyte. So I'll give you one example. This is from our paper only. In the first part, in the blue part, we describe what these three figures are. Say agonist activity of compound 4A and 4C. See, on CAMP formation is the first graph, arrestin recruitment is the second graph, and MAPK ERK 1/2 activation is the third. Now we describe how we did it. What were the ways we did it, and what was the standard we have used. So it gives you like standalone information about all the study present in this graph. Discussion. In this section, you should interpret and sell your data as important, criticize or justify the study method and suggest important, and here you can discuss what the previous studies or previous literature has not, what are the shortcomings of the previous literature or previous studies, and what extra you have tried to gain from your experiments. Explain how results supports the answers, and discuss how answers fit in the existing knowledge and its impact on the area of related research. Be sure of to convey significance of your work and emphasize knowledge advancement. Discussion. I'm not going to go through all this because otherwise I'll be delayed. I have 64 slides. They are too much for the 45-minute talk. So I'll just skip few things. Explanation of novelty of work has to be discussed in details, and you have to means this is what you have done in result. You have to now explain everything, and you have to compare it with the previous data. So, but you should be careful that explanation, importance, significance of work should be done, but overemphasizing or exaggeration of your work should be avoided. Use present tense except when describing previous work. Don't be too broad about the impact of research. This is something to be avoided, and it is like a story that it should have a beginning, it should have a middle part, and it should have a closure. So discussion, how you organize, it should be beginning, you should start with very brief paragraph or the summary that provides the answer to the question and gives main line of the evidence. Then in the middle part, you should include your interpretation of results, generally organized from most least important to most to least important answers, and use clear topic sentences in the beginning of each paragraph, and compare your work with the relevant studies of others. Then end, you give final conclusion. Don't here also indicate importance of work by stating implication, applications, but don't over exaggerate. Conclusion can be done with more of the following: to summarize the work, outstating breakthrough or the novelty of the work, and suggest future studies, experimentation, and how your work is more adaptive to the present literature. Avoid judgments about impact. And what does this study do and why it is important? In this section, establish the context of research, include gaps in the knowledge, state the purpose of work, give aims and rationale of your approach, and include main content found in research and design. What is the problem to be solved and what do we know about the problem? Are there existing solutions? It is basically a funnel type where you start with broad topic and come to a question, general area to make it obvious, and what is the gap of knowledge that is currently exists and why it needs to be filled. This is very similar to what you have to do in your project. You have a broad area, you come to a question and you try to address that question, and how you can address that question is something you write in your paper, and how your study fills the gap. In project, you actually envisage, and in paper, you put your results. What you have envisaged comes on the paper. Then introduction is written in the last. It basically states the purpose of study, describes why it matters, and funnels, known, unknown, and questions. And keep your introduction focused, not more than 3 to 4 paragraphs, not an extensive literature review, and be very careful that you use all the recent literature. If you have something like reviews written on that topic, you include that review that covers all the literature of the back date. So be very careful about the literature. And by stating question and general approach, or summarizing principle, results and conclusions suggested. So this is almost same what I have talked. The motivation for undertaking the study, and keep primary literature that serves the foundation. Hypothesis, research question, problem you are going to, you have investigated, and use highly relevant sources to support your study. Use keywords, include clear purpose, and use past and present tense and passive and explicit. So what primary literature to cite is, use only articles, include research which are highly related. As Prathama has already talked, don't talk about peripheral literature, because that will spoil your introduction part. So be very focused. Whatever you are talking, you should be careful that whosoever is working in the area, their paper should be there, because they could be the potential reviewer of your paper. So it should not happen that it goes to them and they feel, okay, this person has not cited my paper, so I'm going to reject his paper. So be very careful about citations. Cite all the sources listed in the reference section. Then abstract. Basically, what it does is to provide an overview and clear preview of the paper, must be understandable by itself and accuracy. See, if I open a journal, what I'll do is I'll read abstract, and if I find abstract exciting, then only I'll go and read the paper. So abstract should be very exciting, and it should be a summary, it should be a précis, which should give you idea what paper explains. So a reader uses an abstract to quickly understand the purpose, method, results, and significance of your work, and will only read further if there is interest is captured by the abstract. Abstract should be not more than 250 words maximum, is a single paragraph mostly, but it could be extended also. And it should include all your IMRD properties in that. Usually starts with a sentence or two of background information. It's in past tense and typically written last section of the paper. I'll give you an example. This is an abstract of a nature chemistry paper which has appeared recently. They described what square planar cobalt system has emerged as powerful carbene transfer catalyst. This is about catalyst. And now in today's time we have a graphical abstract which is listed for as table of content. So what they have done is, graphical abstract is basically, it describes what has been achieved in that paper, and couple of lines, very important lines, has been mentioned down. So this is something we will be careful of. Table, that's what I talked about. Table of content is featured image used to display on the journal homepage as well as the table of contents of an issue or volume. It should, mostly now papers are accepting colored images, explicitly explain the incorporated work. Some of the papers called it as graphical abstract, contains a single line summary of the incorporated work with picture, as I showed you in the last slide. I'll give you, this is something from our paper only, but first is something from paper from Cell, which is still in, has appeared only on May 27, so it is still online. The figure on the right hand side is basically the table of content, and then they have given couple of lines summary. Okay, so this is table of content. This is on the right hand side, the below figure is from our paper, where we have found one of the compound which shows biased core agorist activity, which is useful for treating pain, neuropathic pain. So we describe how it is useful. It avoids the side effects like painkillers. When you take, you have analgesia, and your locomotor activity is affected. When you take opioid receptors antagonist, your this locomotor activity is restricted. So this compound does not affect the analgesia, means you don't get drowsiness, and it also does not affect your locomotor activity. So we have shown that, and this gives you an idea. Okay, this paper describes this thing, and we have shown that we have done molecular modeling also on human core receptor. So how the compound is binding in the receptor site, we have shown that. So this is basically describes whole of the content of the paper, and this is something how the chemists do. We make the structures, we put the arrow, this is metal free reaction, and what are the products, how many examples we have done, what are the yields, what are the properties, like it is transition metal free, operationally simple, gram scalable, broad substrate scope. So this gives you an idea what is described in the paper. Then title, identify the main topic and message of the paper. To attract reader, keep in mind that few people will read your entire paper, but many will read the title. Be concise, revealing and exciting. Be direct and as big picture as the data can justify. So it should be effective. Identify the main issue. Begin with should be accurate, should be as short and as possible. And as Uday talked, don't use words like new, novel, first time. This is barred in ACS publications. They will ask you to modify your title. So this is something you should not use. Then simple reaction condition in the title, they are not accepted. So attract readers, they are potential authors who will cite your articles. Keywords are very essential because it allows people to identify where you have published and what you have published. So it should not be too general, but it should not be too narrow. But most of the time now, in present context, most of the journals have a list of keywords, and you can select it from them. If you don't find, then only you can go and put your own keywords. Acknowledgement, this is essential because thank colleagues who have contributed. Then intellectual assistance, if somebody has reviewed your manuscript, then also you can put them in acknowledge. Technical help, who are not authors, they can be acknowledged here. Special equipment or material and cell line. Like if you are using some cell resistance cell line and you have acquired it from somewhere, you should thank them. Then financial support, as students they have to thank CSIR, UGC, DBT, wherever you are getting the fellowship, or if you are working in a project, then you have to put the project number from where the grant has been received. It has to be mandatorily included in the acknowledgement. References, what does it do? Give credit to the ideas and finding. I am almost 40 minutes now. Give credit to the ideas and findings of others. Direct readers to sources of further information. And include only significant and published work. If you have I said review articles, it is much more easier to cite them and put lot of literature in them. Keep in mind your likely reviewers, so you should include people who are contemporary and who are working in that area. Use correct format for specific journal. People make a lot of mess of this part. Punctuation mark, they are not very careful, so be careful. Use bibliography software if it is available. EndNote is a premium, so you have to actually buy EndNote, and Reference Manager and Bibsonomy. These are paid, but Mendeley is free of charge. You can download it and use it for referencing. Then supporting information. Now supporting information is becoming more and more important because it allows you to include all the data. If you are using communication, they are allowed to have only 4 pages. So all the data goes into communication. All the material and methods goes into this supporting information. So it becomes an important part of the manuscript. It is important ancillary information which is relevant to the parent article. Additional data, table sets, everything goes there. If I'm a chemist, I'll put all experimental spectroscopic data, X-ray data, copies of NMR spectra there. Materials must be original and not previously published. And now people are, publishers are allowing you to upload the raw data also, like for fair principle data sharing. Or you must be, all the researchers must be seeing there are a lot of retractions happening. So there are few people who are after the papers who are publishing some doctored images or something. If they discover it, they will just put it on PubPeer. PubPeer is a site where you can actually, they put all the wrongdoings of authors there, and then authors if have to reply, or journals have to reply, or editors have to take a note, and then they can ask authors how they have acquired the data. So sometimes you have to provide the raw data, and this could happen like even if you have done something like 15 years ago, they can ask for the raw data. So it is good for all of us to put raw data on in the supporting information and put it on the site. So it gives you some satisfaction that things are original. Then these are the file types I'm not going to read, which can be uploaded in the supporting information. Most of the time they allow 10 MB or 10 MB files there. Common problems with submission, what editor said, this is I have taken from some editor's note. Submission of papers which are clearly out of scope, failure to format the paper according to the guide, inappropriate or no suggested reviewers. Now in papers, when we submit the papers, we have to also suggest who will be the possible reviewers. Now it is the editor's responsibility. He can select those reviewers, or he can put his own reviewers. When we as editor open the editor panel, we'll get a whole set of list of people working in that area, so we can make selections. Inadequate standard of English, resubmission or rejected manuscript without revision. It all happens many times. We act as reviewers also. So I find, with no offense to anybody, I find several of the Chinese authors doing this. If they send a paper to a journal, and if that is rejected, they will send it same paper to the other journal without taking note that what has to be edited or what has to be corrected in that. And unfortunately, that again comes to me. I'll simply say that this is again rejected. So it happens many times. Common problem, repetition, redundancy, ambiguity and exaggeration. These are common problems in the paper we face when we review the papers, and it should be avoided. Common errors in title and abstract too vague and detailed. If you write 3 lines or 4 lines of title, nobody is going to read it, and the paper is, it will give irritation to the reviewers also. Introduction, too much information or failure to point out the gap. So gap has to be pointed out. Either it is project or it is paper. You have to point out the gap you are going to address. Methods, insufficient detail. Result, confusing figure design or telling an easy to follow story, redundancy with other section of the paper. And discussion, highly redundant with result, too much exaggeration, poor transition, omission of related work. These are all something which should be avoided. These are the common error, and not following the specific journal instruction. See, this is a graph which I have taken from Elsevier. This is something A and this is the maximum errors. This is the problem with the papers. We don't take care of article and this, prepositions, subject verb, agreement, incorrect noun number, verb tense shift, verb form. These are the problems we face in the papers. Then plagiarism. Prathama has already talked about. Plagiarism is something, do not use exact wording or phrasing from another paper, even when you cite the source. Put all papers far away when you write. Insufficient acknowledgement of ideas of work is a form of plagiarism. So even if you are writing your own paper, you have written something earlier, just don't read that paper. Use your own words, use your own another set of words, another set of sentences. So, and this is an example which I have again taken from Elsevier. You see, the same author has published 2 papers, and the green part are same. The blue part are same. Introduction is same. So they have copied their own paper and published it again. So it will come and it will get retracted later. What figure manipulation? Lot of people are doing. Biologists, almost like 40% papers are facing problem in biology because of figure manipulation, and brightness, contrast, color balance, non-linear adjustment are accepted, but enhanced, obscured, moved, removed or introduced. If you introduce something in your image, this is not acceptable. I'll give you an example. This was the original picture which was published in American Journal of Pathology, and then the same picture was published again. It is brightened, it is reversed, and same things are happening. So this should not happen, and this calls for retraction of the paper. So tips: it is wise to begin writing the paper while you are working, because it will focus itself, can help focus on experiments. Sometimes when we write the paper, we find we are missing something. So that experiment can be actually included in the paper if we start writing when we are doing the experiment. Copious self-editing, cut, main route to clarity, carefully check organization, review how well you fulfilled the purpose and make sure the significance of your work, check compliance with the journal. Do not do everything to make your submission a success. No one gets it right first time. So don't think that reject ho jayega ya accept ho jayega. Don't think about that. Write and rewrite. It should be best. You can submit after writing the first revision. Take several days off. Then you come back. Write again. If you want, you can discuss it, or you can throw it to your colleague, read it. If you find some problem, tell me. You can make changes, get all co-authors to approve your submission, and then you submit. Now after submission, what happens? First decision is accepted, very rare. If it is accepted, it's party time. Okay, wait for the galleys and paper will be online. However, it is rejected, no need to commit suicide, no need. Probability is 40 to 90%. Do not despair. Try to understand why. Consider reviews, advice. See, we all have read that there was an elephant and there were few blind people. Somebody took that elephant as a his trunk as a rope, and this whole thing. So all the reviewers have different eyes. Okay, your work will be reviewed or viewed by different people differently. So you should be acceptable to that they will be critical about your work. They may the additions may improve your work sometimes. And if you submit to another journal, begin as it was a new manuscript. Take advantage of the reviewers' comments and revise accordingly. They may review your manuscript for the next journal to read the guide for authors again for the new journal and then submit. I'm just 2 slides. First decision, major and minor revision. This happens many times. So major revision, mostly you have to do some more experiments. You have to remove the deficiencies of the paper and do some major textual modification and additional experiment. But if it is minor, you think that okay, this will go through. Basically the manuscript is worth publishing. Some elements in the manuscript must be clarified, restructured, textual adoption, and minor revision does not guarantee acceptance after revision, but often it is accepted if all points are addressed. I have faced this. Once there was a minor revision from advanced synthesis and catalysis, and I was involved in some other meeting or something. I just overlooked one of the correction we were asked to do, and based on that our paper was rejected, so we have to publish somewhere else. So this happens. One should be very careful. And what leads to acceptance is attention to details. Check and double check your work. Consider the reviewer's comment. English must be as good as possible. Presentation is important. Take your time with revision. Acknowledge those who have helped you. New, original and previously unpublished. Critically evaluate your own manuscript. Ethical rules must be followed. So thank you so much. Happy publishing.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful session. So I would now like to invite the participants for the query session. If you have, so this was the topic. I mean, this is more relevant, a prerequisite before knowing how to write a research grant actually, because knowing the research grant proposal and you don't know how to write a very good research paper is, I don't know, it is worthful. So this is something which is a prerequisite to know before writing a research grant, how to write a good research paper of a high impact factor. So please, if you have any query, because this is just a presentation of very short minute, but it is experience of lots of years actually, I can relate with it. So please.
Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful session, and we got a lot of information about how to publish the paper. I just have a query about preprints.
Preprints?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I have published 4 to 5 papers in SCI journals. They are, just because they are not open source because of money constraint, the citation is quite low. But when I have published a paper due to the time constraint in a preprint, what happens is it got 100 plus citation, and all the citation is from the scientists who are working in that field. So the preprints are the significant place to publish your paper?
No, see, preprint is like Biorex or Chemrex is preprint. Okay, so preprint is something which is not reviewed.
Yeah.
It's not reviewed.
It's not reviewed at all.
Until unless it is reviewed, it's a problem. I have seen in COVID time there were several preprints.
Yeah. Due to the COVID,
there were several preprints which were online, and they got rejected because the data did not match to what was it there. Means something, there was conflict. What happened today? You say like hydroxychloroquine. Initially, hydroxychloroquine was thought to be like very active in COVID, but it was not there. It was not true. So anything which was related to hydroxychloroquine, it got in ambiguous state actually.
I got the concept, sir. Like you are talking about the drug. I am in the computer science field. What I have done is like I have taken the data and predicted that what is going in the future.
Okay.
Like in 2020 itself, the COVID has a good number of patients. So we have the data and we analyzed it and we predicted it. And even we compared it with the actual happening in the next month. And it matched. So it's like our prediction is good. So again,
but did you send that paper to somewhere?
No, just because the time constraint, I thought.
No, but if that is preprint, you should have posted it to some journal also. It's not necessary that you simply send it to preprint Biorex or
one of the journal I have sent. Then they said that it is already in the preprint. You cannot publish it.
It's not like that. I think.
I got that.
Which journal you sent?
It's Digital Library of ACM.
Okay.
Then they said, even it was not a very good journal.
Okay.
Even then they said that it's in a preprint, you cannot
It does not happen like that. Mostly on Biorex and Chemrex, if you upload, that manuscript is accepted in the journal.
Yes,
after
I think
peer review.
archive, ARXIV. So I have posted it there.
Okay. And I think that is accepted.
Right now I have 100 plus citation, and when I check out the citation, all of them are working in COVID itself, and they are from a very good universities.
Okay, it could be a case, but mostly if you read Biorex and their objective, they say that you can, of course people send the paper for publication, put it there. So it gets accepted. You see several, even science paper on COVID, they were posted earlier on Biorex and then it came to science actually.
Even Scopus has also added a feature where you can add your preprints in your profile.
Okay.
So is this the significant way, or should we not send our papers there?
Actually, I have not, this is, I'm hearing for the first time that preprint was not accepted, but actually, even if you send to paper to Lancet, it is on preprint server. Okay. It has to go on preprint server. Until unless it goes on preprint server, they will not, today you send, after 10 days it will be on preprint server, and maybe it is rejected after 1 month, then it is off from the preprint server. It happens.
Okay. So I'll send it to other journals.
You can send it, I think.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful talk. I'm Dr. Richa Krishna from MIT University. I'll call this talk like kind of Gagar Mein Sagar. And I have a very simple question, sir. How to minimize overlap between abstract and conclusion?
Conclusion and
Abstract, yeah. Major findings are in the conclusion also, and major findings are in the abstract also.
No, that, conclusion as abstract, it is like putting it in different words.
Okay.
Okay, you need not just copy and paste. You can copy your conclusion to abstract and then you can modify, or you can take the abstract to take it to conclusion and then modify. You don't have to see in conclusion. You don't have to define introduction or results or discussion. In abstract, you have to put across. Okay, this is the area. Then this work is done. This is found, and this is the conclusion, and this is the experiment to prove it. But in conclusion, you say this was the gap and we have tried to fill it. Means, and this may have future perspective, or you are working in that area and you will be going to publish more paper in that area. So this way you can make a distinction. It's not very difficult. Of course, it has some overlap, but it's not very difficult.
Thank you so much, sir.
Like if you have a table of content, graphical abstract, there you can have similar lines, very similar lines. Some changes you can make, but you should be intelligent to do that. That's the only difference. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for the very informative lecture. Sir, I have a question. Nowadays, there is trend of writing opposed reviewers.
You can write
in journals. Can you please throw light on?
No, means like if reviewer has sent something, your rejected manuscript, you can submit a rebuttal. That you are asking. Opposing the review.
Possible reviewer and opposed reviewer.
You can write to oppose reviewer. What happens is sometimes people know that you are working in that field and you may have conflict of interest. Okay, then you say that the manuscript should not go there. Means I have known cases where manuscript was sent to a reviewer lab. It is old story. Reviewer lab kept that manuscript. They repeated the experiment in their lab. This posted it to some other journal, and it was accepted. So this happens. So you can oppose, but mostly it does not happen. Means I have never opposed a reviewer. I am very open, and you should not put reviewer who are known to you. You should put reviewers who are unknown to you.
Yeah, then, but if that is not the case, whom name should we write?
You should write people who are working in that area. See, if you are
in opposed also.
In opposed, no. In opposed, if you are very confirmed that he is having conflict with you, then only write.
Then
otherwise,
only we can.
Yeah. Otherwise, don't write oppose.
But if it is not the case, then.
And then don't write oppose. You don't need to write oppose. It is not mandatory. Oppose is in very extreme cases. Okay. It is in very extreme cases.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, sir. Dr. Neerja Singh, Faculty of Psychology, Social Sciences, Doon University. Brilliant performance, sir. Thank you so much for, I would ask you two questions, sir. Number one, when you initially started your talk on motivation towards writing a research paper, know what you want to write. Sir, I have knowledge, power, excellence in dementia. I have done very well in my master's. I've excelled in research methodology in my paper. But I'm like, sir, you've written 169 papers and I'm stuck on 2. So number one, sir, do my potentials, my abilities and my aptitude count in writing a paper? And what are the prerequisite skills? Because we individuals, human beings from psychology department would always speak on skills. So skills are a very important factor in being able to perform anything. Anything specific on skills for us, sir, for research students, sir? Thank you.
See, one thing, what we find in research student missing is some students are really good. If they come from convent background, like people coming from Hindi background, they are unable to write proper English. So I insist on students, they should read newspapers. They should read English newspaper, whatever, even old newspaper, they should read it. And they should learn how to use the article, a and the, and what is verb, was, were. Even we make mistake. I am not perfect. Even after publishing so much, if somebody asks to write a paper, I get sleepless nights. Okay. So something you should, it is skill development, no? Writing a paper is skill development. So you develop that skill. In India, we don't have many services, but if you go to US, you just collect your data, throw it to the publishing, means that paper writing department. They will write the paper for you and they will give it back to you. So you don't even have to bother to write the paper. Once they have given you the paper, you just have to correct, you give them back, they will edit. See, Chinese have this because Chinese are not good in English. So they have this paper editing services. Every publishing house have paper editing service. You pay them, they will edit your paper accordingly, put it in the best perspective, give it back to you. So this is something, skills are there and it is like premium, you can earn on that. You can earn on that. I've seen my sister who was MA in English, Rini Simon, giving her all the news news reading, give her the pages, some 800 pages to edit, and that news used to come on DD News. So it was a paid thing. Because they were neighbors, so she was good at English, so she used to give. So that is skill, like as psychology, what you ask, it's the skill. But you should have the skill to put everything in right, you should draw your schemes nicely, because now there is lot of evolution in the drawing of schemes, putting up the figures, tables, articles. They should be presented in such a form that everybody should see, arey, ye to bahut badhiya. See, it's like more of a food, no? If you put everything on a thali and I give it to you, you will not eat it. But if I put 10 katoris and put dal, sabji, everything separately and give it to you, you will like, oh, this food is very good. It's like that. So paper has to be like that. You have to put everything in a right perspective.
Any more queries, please?
Thank you very much, sir, for the nice talk. Normally in a scientific community, we judge people by their research, by the impact factor. But how much is going to impact the life of people? Because if we go in the crowd, no one going to sell me, I'm a scientist. Okay? So what is the correlation between the
See, whatever you do, if you are able to publish, it's fine. You know, this Suzuki.
Yes.
We read Suzuki coupling. Suzuki published the coupling in synthetic communication. Okay. Impact factor was how much? 1, less than 1 at that time when he published in 1983. And that was, he was awarded, based on that paper, he was awarded Nobel Prize. So, whatever you do should be publishable. If it is publishable, it's fine. Don't bother about impact factor. And if you want to bother about impact factor, then you have to generate the data, kind of data, the additional data. See, if I am doing something, if I am solving a structure, I need to have X-ray data. I know the structure, I prove it through NMR, mass, everything, but still I need to have a X-ray data to confirm it. So this is kind of addition. And if I am describing a biological activity, then I have to do all the experiments, all the related experiments. Then if I have to, like I work on pain. Now, rotor rod test will be the first thing, heat sensitivity test, analgesia test, locomotor test. These are something essential. We have to do it, then we have to describe. And now for biology papers, they are asking what is the pharmacokinetics, what is the pharmacodynamics of the compound. So we have to add that. So once you add that, you have more of biological data, less of chemistry data. It will be published in high impact factor of biology.
Thank you, sir.
Jai Hind, sir. I Dheeraj Kumar Singh, research scholar in computer science here. Actually, I study more than 120 paper in last 6 months. I see some of the papers who is written in Korean, Japanese and Chinese. But no single paper I find out where any of the single example has been given taking the scripting language, our Matrabhasha Devanagari Lipi. So what is the exact problem? Why we Indian people not writing any of the single word of Devanagari Lipi in any of the paper?
No. See, now it has stopped. Earlier, like in Chem Euro J, there was a chemistry paper in which there are certain papers in which you can write the abstract in Hindi. you can write the abstract. There are several papers, several journals where they ask the abstract in Hindi, means in your mother language, whatever you want to write. So if you want to write in Hindi, you can write. Like Chem Euro J was one of them. Earlier it was doing, now they have stopped. So they had a separate box in which you can write in Hindi.
Okay. Thank you, sir.